Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media.
What the hell's going on out here?
It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose. Affirmative.
It's time for the Greg Anthony Show on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Like that. My God, people of all races, colors, and creeds, you can't get a break, can you? Oh, my goodness. Greg Anthony here on the greatest show on earth. I mean, the greatest. Let me tell you that. And that was sent to me by Brad Pitt. Yeah, he sent me a laugh machine, an applause machine, because he said he hasn't been able to get through this COVID-19 without it. Because there are these people that love me, love me, love me. They have to have applause. Thank you, Brad, for sending that. And by the way, he refuses to wear a mask because he's gotten 10 million emails saying, please, Brad, from all his girlfriends and all the people that adore him, don't wear a mask. We must see your beautiful face. Well, anyway, Greg Anthony here on the Greg Anthony Show. Great guest for you. I'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, people always ask me, why do you say this is the greatest show on earth? I mean, what's with you? And I always tell them, well, I could give you 100 reasons. Let me give you a few. You know, it is better than listening to that esteemed, or should I say full of hot air, Harvard lawyer, Alan Dershowitz, tell us we have no constitutional rights to refuse to be COVID-19 vaccinated. Oh, really, Alan? You know, he's playing that. There's a legal game called Battle of the Experts. And he believes Dr. Anthony Fauci, remember he was on my show Monday, Dr. Dracula? We did the sneeze test with him and it failed like all the other COVID-19 tests. But anyway, this show was also better. I had to do this one. Then listening to Tom Hanks, and I read this the other day. He told us yesterday, and you got to believe this guy, and I'm really hurt, quote, I have no respect for anyone who does not wear a mask. Really? We'll talk to Brad Pitt. And then, folks, I got an email, and they said, we caught the end of the Tanzania president. Can you tell us about what he did? Okay, I will. I mean, this is choice. Because, you know, tragedy plus time equals comedy. And I knew after a second that COVID was a comedy of errors. But this president of Tanzania, John Magufuli, he sent in the blood of a goat, the saliva of a pheasant, and the juice of a papaya because he hates the World Health Organization, gave them real names, and they all came back testing positive for COVID-19. That is about enough. You know, before I get to my guest, an international attorney, a friend of mine, Jon Levy, we're going to talk about a lot of good things today. He's on the line. I want to remember, on a serious side, we forget sometimes that this COVID-19 has really caused a lot of havoc, and there's lives that have been lost. So let's today remember 11-year-old Landon Fuller. I don't know if you remember him, but he's from Albuquerque. And at the end of April, distraught by not going to school and all of these lockdowns in Mexico, having to sit in his room, he took his own life. Now, in New Mexico, 20% of unexpected deaths have increased since the COVID-19 supposed, I put in quotes, crisis. And that's not just in New Mexico, that is all over the country. And what I mean by unexpected deaths are, you know, suicides, car accidents, things that normally don't happen. But when you're under stress, not going anywhere, a lot of things can happen. So I think, you know, what they've done to us basically is criminal. And it just shows us, you know, we have no rights. I mean, there are no rights. Your owners have spoken. But anyway, I've got a great story to tell John about the Vatican that just came across my desk. But let me get to Jon Levy, who's waiting patiently. He's going to be here for the whole hour. But my guest is California Attorney Jon Levy. He's licensed in California, also in England, and he's appeared on my show so many times over the years, and he's taught me a lot, and he provided a lot of factual information contained in CIA files and court documents regarding the Vatican's clear-cut connection to the post-World War II genocide in Croatia. He took on a case, an international case of the victims, some of the family member victims of this genocide. And the case was sent up to the Ninth Circuit, and it was called Alprin v. Vatican Bank. And through deposition testimony taken in this case, filed in San Francisco, former CIA agent William Gowan verified Vatican's role in this money laundering scheme and actual involvement in this genocide. But the court, in its wisdom, or I should say in its stupidity, dropped the case after 10 years, folks, after 10 years on technical reasons that the Vatican Bank doesn't do business here. John, it's good to have you. We got a lot to talk about. Well, let's start there because I know you didn't give up and you took this case overseas. So just update us and then we'll get on to some other things.
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Good to be back and good to talk to you and your audience. This case has to do with genocide that occurred primarily during the Second World War in former Yugoslavia, and the victims were primarily Serbian people, Orthodox Christians, who were liquidated. And the Vatican had a very deep part in that ethnic cleansing, and that's what really caused all the trouble in post-war Yugoslavia. You know, after Tito was kicked out of there, all the old divisions showed up, and the Vatican again stuck its hands in there, and we had a second round of genocide that went on for 10 years in the 1990s until Bill Clinton and Joe Biden intervened on behalf of the Muslims and took out the Orthodox Christians again. So there's a lot of stuff there, and we got kicked out of the Ninth Circuit after 10 years of litigation, tons and volumes of evidence implicating the Vatican and the Franciscan Order and the Vatican Bank and the Diocese of Zagreb and all sorts of people. Of course, the CIA was involved, and all the lawyers on the team, more or less, they said, well, that's it, John. They said, we got to give up now, and I said, I don't give up. The court said they didn't have jurisdiction. Well, I'll take it to Europe. And that's what
How could they say the Vatican Bank didn't do business in the United States? I mean, what is kind of ridiculous, isn't it?
Of course it is. But you're dealing with federal judges, and federal judges will rule contrary to the facts. Of course, the Vatican does business in the U.S. Every major diocese has an account at the Vatican Bank. The other example we used is the Vatican has a gold account at the Federal Reserve. They swap gold back and forth, but that apparently doesn't constitute doing business in the U.S. So they got out based on that, and we took it over to the European Union and said there's money laundering going on. And they said, that's right. They use the euro there at the Vatican because you can go down to that gift shop there outside the Vatican and plunk down €5 for one Vatican euro, with John Paul's picture on it or something. It's big business for them. And they got after the Vatican and said, okay, guys, you have to have a financial intelligence unit. And they set one up, and then they wouldn't give me the time of day. So I filed a petition with the Pope, and right now we've got a petition pending with the new president of Croatia, who has said that he would give it some attention, and it's been sent over to their chief prosecutor right now, and that's where it sits with the government of Croatia.
You wanted to talk a little bit. I want to switch gears here a little bit. Good luck with that case, by the way. I've been following it for so many years. And, the many stories that I've done on the Vatican, separate from the Alprin v. Vatican Bank, showed that the Vatican Bank is a money laundering cesspool. And it's still going on today. And the reason, and I learned a lot from your case, is they have no accountability like a normal bank, right? So nobody really knows what's going on there, correct?
Well, sure. They have sovereign immunity, which means nobody can do anything, even though supposedly they're in the Eurozone and supposedly they have audits. Every few weeks there's a new story. Just Google it up. Every few weeks a new story about some new mini scandal going on over there. It's just endless. And of course, the reason is the Vatican Bank is one of the few banks you could deposit anything. You deposit a Picasso picture if you want. They'll take it. It's like a pawn shop.
Right. So if you got $1 million out there, guys, in the cartels, and you want a place to put it, go right down to the Holy See, and they'll help you out. But anyway, John, there's a story that just came across. You may have heard of this. I just heard about it today. But we know what's going on in Hong Kong. It's turning into communist China again. No rights, basically, there. The Americans are kind of sitting by. But the Vatican, listen to this story. And it's documented in a book written. It's called Vignano versus the Vatican, a book written there just recently. And I got the guy's name. I'll try to get it to you. But anyway, he's documented that since 2013, when Pope Francis came into power, the Vatican has been collecting, and they got documents on this, $2 billion a year from the Chinese government. This goes to the reason why the Vatican is staying kind of silent and not coming to Hong Kong's rescue here. But isn't that unbelievable? I want to get more into this, and I have to look into it, but I just wanted to bring that up because you wanted to talk about the archives that are sealed. The Vatican archives are unsealed. So tell us a little bit about what you've learned.
Right.
Some of them, anyway.
Right. All these years, there's been a lot of controversy about Pope Pius XII. Of course, the book that came out calling him Hitler's Pope, and then they wanted to canonize him, or maybe he's halfway canonized or something like that. But the proof was supposed to be in the secret Vatican archives from World War II, and the Pope finally said, okay, guys, we're going to open those up, and we'll see what's in there. So they did that earlier this year, supposedly. But there's been very few reports about what has come out of there. There's been some, minor discoveries that, maybe there were some dispatches, of course, telling the Vatican what was going on in, the Nazi-occupied territories, which, of course, there was. And but nothing much else. We're waiting to hear, of course, about the complicity with the Ustasha regime, the Croatian puppet regime that did all this genocide over in Yugoslavia during the Second World War. But nothing's come out. And then, of course, they've shut it down because of, quote unquote, the COVID situation. So no one's allowed in there now. But we're patiently waiting to see what comes out of that, if anything.
Right. This story about Hong Kong is really distressing, though. And you're seeing, you wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on in D.C., and we can start on it now. And I want to bring you back. What do we got here? We got about 2 or 3 minutes. I want to bring you back in the second half hour. We have a whole half hour to discuss it. But, it's really a lot of things are strangely coming together to form this kind of one world order, I see. And you see all of a sudden in the beginning of the year last year, you see this Democratic Socialist Party come out. Then you're seeing China spreading its wings of fascism. You're seeing America lay down over Venezuela and do nothing. What do you think it is? And then we'll come back. We only got 30 seconds.
Well, I think there's traitors in the government, whether you want to call them deep state or foreign agents or neocons or globalists, but clearly every time the president brings someone in, about 75% of the time they end up being totally disloyal. I've never seen such an attack on the executive branch before.
John, good thought. We'll be back with John at the end of the half hour, and we'll be back here on the Investigative Journal or the Greg Anthony Show, both the same, here on CRN3, Channel 3. Hey folks, Greg Anthony here, and during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's deja vu foreclosure time all over again. I'm talking behind in your mortgage 1, 2, 3 months and you are out. But there's a company out there that will go to bat for you. IWillSaveYourHome.com, and remember those words will do just that. Over the years, with the courage of David versus Goliath, the people at I Will Save Your Home have brought many of these money-hungry mortgage lenders to their knees. Remember the wave of foreclosures in the 2008 financial mess? Well, when the dust finally settles from this COVID-19 pandemic, it won't be a wave, but a tsunami of default foreclosures is on the Great Depression horizon. If your home is at risk of foreclosure, the problem must be tackled at once, and that's exactly what the people at IWillSaveYourHome.com will do, because one wrong move could spell disaster. They will specialize in working tirelessly to restructure and get you a fair and just loan modification. And during this COVID crisis, new laws are popping up every day, and they will untie all the legal ropes that just may save your home. A beautiful home, loving family has always been your American dream, so don't let foreclosure and these big banks turn your dream into a nightmare. Don't delay. Call today. Contact IWillSaveYourHome.com at 619-268-3687. That's 619-268-3687. They're a proud sponsor of the Greg Anthony Show.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. My dear friends, today things are so confusing. It's enough to boggle the mind. That's why it's vitally important. In fact, it's an absolute imperative that you indulge in brain food, provided by the noted Institute of Good Times and Great Yum Yums, Columbo's. Just come on down. Columbo's provides the remedies and elixirs, such as mouth-watering steaks, incredibly edible seafood, Columbo's family secret Italian specialties, and the pièce de résistance, the world's greatest meatballs. Imagine margaritas on the Columbo's patio, cerveza and other liquid refreshments, or take your pick and bring it all back home and enjoy the great indoors. Columbo's, saving the world from gloom and doom with great grub and glee. Happy, happy, happy Columbo's. Mangia bene.
This is the Entertainment Answer. The new political comedy Irresistible is a bipartisan look at how silly and out of hand elections can get. It stars Steve Carell and Chris Cooper, and Carell said this about the script.
It's really not so much about the politics themselves. It doesn't necessarily lean right or left. It's really mostly about the people who are caught in between.
Irresistible is rated R for language and available on demand starting June 26th. Remember to be safe and smart out there. For this Entertainment Answer, I'm Matt Mungle.
Okay, back on the Greg Anthony Show. And hey, let's take a few minutes and talk about our most important rights, and that's the Second Amendment rights. And no one better to have on the show than Dave Workman. He's an award-winning career journalist, senior editor of thegunmag.com. He also writes for Liberty Park Press, Conservative Firing Line, and many, many other things. He's authored op-ed pieces all over the place, Chicago Tribune, Seattle Times, and he's involved in the Second Amendment Foundation. And you know something, Dave, I want to talk a little bit about that ruling in Oregon regarding the restrictions on church gatherings. But before we do that, with all this going on with Antifa and the rest of these protests and what I call riots, what's the situation around the country regarding our rights to bear arms? Because if they're going to take away the police, what else do we have?
Well, funny you bring that up, because this is a subject we could probably talk about all afternoon. In the last couple of months, it's been documented that firearms sales are up, background checks are way up. People have been buying guns who've never owned a gun before. This all started with the coronavirus panic.
Hey, numero uno. I did the same thing. Let me tell you. Go ahead.
Well, initially people were afraid that the cops were all going to get sick, and now they're afraid that the police won't be able to come there if somebody lights their house on fire, I guess. We've seen the rioting situations around the country, Seattle, Minneapolis, and pick a big city, there's been trouble. And the offshoot of that is that people are really coming around to the conclusion that they are their own first responders. The police can't be everywhere at once. They're going to have to take care of business and protect their own homes and their own families. So they're heading for the gun shops.
And, the police aren't even showing up in places. That's what's really distressing, isn't it?
Well, take, for example, what's been going on in Seattle. The anarchists have actually seized a 6-block area in uptown Seattle that they're calling the Capitol Hill Occupation Project, or CHOP for short. And over the weekend, there were 3 shootings. One of them turned fatal. It took the life of a 19-year-old kid who's, I guess he's an aspiring rap singer. And the other 2 victims are still in the hospital in intensive care. So people see that stuff and they start thinking, well, it might be a good idea for me to invest in that good old Second Amendment.
You bet. And something, a lot depends on where you live. And what I mean by that is if you look at places like, let me just give you Mitchell, South Dakota, or a place like Coeur d'Alene, where they were out, the store owners were out there with their weapons protecting their stores, no trouble. And then you switch over to Santa Monica, and these people are crying, to the cows come home, that their stores are being vandalized and taken care of. Maybe a little bit of Coeur d'Alene advice might go a long way. What do you think?
Well, we've had that same situation up here in Washington State, where I'm talking to you from right now, in the city of Kirkland, the city of Snohomish, and down in the city of Bonnie Lake. People are turning out to protect their local businesses, especially if there's a gun shop in town. I've got a good friend, Melissa Denny, who's got a place called Pistol Annie's. I'm going to do a story on her for one of the magazines I write for. Ever since this thing started up here in Seattle with the looting going on, and there were reports that the Antifa crowd was going to be targeting gun stores, she reached out. A bunch of her friends have showed up every night to guard her business to make sure that nobody breaks in. Frankly, when that happened in Kirkland and in the city of Snohomish, there was not even a busted window up there. Nobody did anything in the business district, and golly whiz, I wonder why that happened. It's one of those things.
Hey, we got a few minutes here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the Second Amendment Foundation? A lot of people may not know about it, but it's the nation's oldest large tax-exempt education and research group. Tell us a little bit about it and how you guys are trying to save our Second Amendment.
Well, I'm glad you asked that. The Second Amendment Foundation's been around for more than 40 years. It was founded by a man named Alan Gottlieb. He is the executive vice president now. We've been involved in dozens of major lawsuits, legal actions, because what the foundation does, it's got 2-prong attack here: education and litigation. So we go around the country filing federal lawsuits. The McDonald ruling against the city of Chicago, that was the Second Amendment Foundation's case, and we're going from there.
Hey, listen, I got to run, Dave, but thanks for being on. And they can get a hold of the Second Amendment Foundation at www.saf.org. And Dave, we'll have you on again. And something, thanks a lot for doing this because it's really needed. That's Dave Workman from the Second Amendment Foundation. Thanks a lot again, Dave.
I'm Dave Hull. How'd you like to receive your very own autographed copy of my award-winning book, Hullabaloo, The Life and Misadventures of me, L.A. radio legend Dave Hull? I'll sign it for you personally at a specially reduced $30 CRN digital talk radio price. All you have to do is call the Dave Hull Group, 760-320-4434. 760-320-4434. We're waiting for your call right now.
It's totally normal to be constipated with belly pain, straining, and bloating again and again.
No way.
Maybe it's occasional constipation.
Maybe it's not. You could have a chronic condition called irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C. Linzess, or linaclotide, is a prescription that treats IBS-C in adults. Linzess works differently than laxatives to help relieve belly pain and let you have more frequent and complete bowel movements. Individual results may vary. Do not give to children less than 6, and it should not be given to children 6 to less than 18. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Maybe it's not occasional constipation. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS. You may be able to talk to a doctor online. Visit linzess.com, sponsored by Allergan and Ironwood.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 888-912-1332. 888-912-1332. 888-912-1332. Call right now. 888-912-1332.
Hey folks, Greg Anthony here, and during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's deja vu foreclosure time all over again. I'm talking behind in your mortgage 1, 2, 3 months and you are out, but there's a company out there that will go to bat for you. IWillSaveYourHome.com, and remember those words will do just that. Over the years, with the courage of David versus Goliath, the people at I Will Save Your Home have brought many of these money-hungry mortgage lenders to their knees. Remember the wave of foreclosures in the 2008 financial mess? Well, when the dust finally settles from this COVID-19 pandemic, it won't be a wave, but a tsunami of default foreclosures is on the Great Depression horizon. If your home is at risk of foreclosure, the problem must be tackled at once, and that's exactly what the people at IWillSaveYourHome.com will do, because one wrong move could spell disaster. They will specialize in working tirelessly to restructure and get you a fair and just loan modification. And during this COVID crisis, new laws are popping up every day, and they will untie all the legal ropes that just may save your home. A beautiful home, loving family has always been your American dream, so don't let foreclosure and these big banks turn your dream into a nightmare. Don't delay. Call today. Contact IWillSaveYourHome.com at 619-268-3687. That's 619-268-3687. They're a proud sponsor of the Greg Anthony Show. Okay, Greg Anthony here. Got to get back at it. I'm here every night, 8 to 9 p.m., CRN Channel 3, so don't miss it. You'll never know what you're going to get here. And by the way, I tested positive, not for COVID-19. I tested positive for the COVID virus hoof and mouth disease, which means I can't stop talking about the insanity here that's going on. Let's get back to normal, as many doctors have told us. Jon Levy's my guest, an international attorney who's taken on so many important cases. We're going to get into a few. But I did want to mention this at the end of our last segment. John, we were talking about how really America's falling apart in a sense, where they're ripping down statues, they're taking everything apart. We're hearing socialism all over the place, and you can feel it in the wind. But let's go back to one quote, and then I'm going to get to John. This was made by Brock Chisholm. Now, he was the former director of the World Health Organization, our favorite idiots, right? Made in the Christian World Report in March 1991. Quote Mr. Chisholm, "To achieve world government, it is necessary to remove from the minds of men their individualism, loyalty to family tradition, national patriotism, and religious dogmas," unquote. What's happening today? John, I think he put it pretty pretty succinctly on what their plans are. What do you think?
Well, can you hear me, Greg? Yeah, there's a lot of plans.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of things going on that are unprecedented. I mean, I also, in addition to being an attorney, I'm a faculty member. I've got a PhD in political science. I teach at a couple of universities at the graduate level, and we look as political scientists, not attorneys, but political scientists. We look for parallels when we have unprecedented situations like those we're living through now, where it appears everything's going wrong and nobody's listening to the central government. Well, the last time that happened was 1990 when the Soviet Union fell apart. And, of course, the people living through that at the time didn't realize that the Soviet Union was falling apart. U.S. intelligence didn't realize. Political scientists couldn't predict it. But there's a lot of very eerie sort of things going on. And, people are going to make, there's people that will make the decision that the value of the parts are worth more than the value of the whole. And that's what happened with the Soviet Union.
Mm-hmm. So where do you think this is moving? I mean, we see that America divided in half. This election is up for grabs. And I don't know. People are saying on the left, we got to get Trump out of there and bring back, sanity. And then the people on the right are going, if we bring in Biden, he doesn't know who he is, by the way, thinks he's running for Senate. But anyway, if we bring in him, America is kaput. What's your thoughts on how is this going to play out?
Well, again, it's not going to play out because you have two groups of people diametrically opposed, supporters of the president that want to look forward to a progressive United States that moves forward economically and politically, and you have the Bidenites, the corrupt Democrat Party, Joe Biden himself. The mainstream media has not reported on the latest scandal, which is Biden's good buddy, Thraci, who was the prime minister of Kosovo, was indicted as a war criminal. And, of course, Biden was the founder of that country. Biden was the person that pushed through the Kosovo War in 1999. He's considered the national hero there. In fact, now here's one they didn't report, Beau Biden, Biden's son, the one that died, the quote-unquote, the good son, right?
Okay.
He was employed by the government of Kosovo for a couple years there, just like Hunter was, collecting a huge paycheck for doing what? But nobody wants to look into that stuff. Nobody wants to look into it. So,
why won't Attorney General Barr do this? I'm just miffed because that story comes out, and a first-year law student could probably put together an indictment. What's going on?
Well, again, is the Attorney General compromised? Everyone's waiting for the indictments, and, we are a country of laws. Well, can you lie to the FISA court like Comey and all McCabe and the rest of them did, and with impunity make things up, commit crimes like Mueller did, using process crimes and fake crimes to put people in jail? Can you, do corrupt deals like with the Flynn case? Can you spy on the president like the Vindman twins did and leak the information? Well, apparently you can with impunity. So where's the Attorney General? What's going on here? I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody's asking too.
I'm glad you brought it up because I heard today Roger Stone was being silenced on social media. They're not going to let him talk, and he's ready to go in jail. I mean, Trump needs to pardon him. I mean, it's ridiculous what's happening when you look at Comey and the rest of these guys, and Clinton even skating free. And this guy is going to be in jail for, 3 years for basically
long
nothing. Longer.
Right.
Yeah.
Another process crime, and for your listeners, a process crime are those crimes that Mueller and Comey are famous for. They use that to put Martha Stewart in prison, and that's the crime where you don't commit a crime, but when they interview you, if they don't like your answer, they'll say, "Oh, lying to the FBI." With it, you answer, you're going to prison for that, and oftentimes. Yeah. That crime is considered more serious than the supposed crime you weren't guilty of in the first place, and that's what happened. That's what's happened with Stone. That's what's happened with a couple of the other
Manafort
caught up in the Manafort happened with what's that? I forget the guy's name, but some
Flynn?
of the minor people with the Trump campaign did that. There's 4 or 5 cases
Carter,
like that.
Well, they went after Carter Page, and that was a bogus thing, and nothing happened on the people
I
that
think
framed
the guy's
him.
name was
Papadopoulos, yeah.
Yeah, Papadopoulos.
Yeah.
So they've used that trick over and over. And, you're right. Everybody's waiting for the indictments. Where are the indictments? Where are the indictments, Mr. Barr? Well, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. Now, Flynn, I can't understand this, Judge. I guess the appellate court ruled that they should drop the charges, and the judge said, no, we got to figure this out. How can a judge? You know better the processes here.
Yeah.
How can a lower court judge overrule the higher court?
Well, the principle in that case is very clear. When there's prosecutorial misconduct, it's called a Brady versus Maryland case after a famous Supreme Court case where they withheld information from the defense and lied and they've been caught. It's a non-appealable thing. You dismiss the case when there's a Brady versus Maryland issue with prosecutorial misconduct and covering up and hiding exculpatory or information that would tend to prove innocence. That's a that's a no-brainer. That is never a minor sort of error. That is always results in a acquittal. And the argument is, well, but he pled guilty. We can't let him go now. And of course, he pled guilty because, of course, they threatened him with 20 years in prison, threatened to put his son in prison. So totally corrupt judge.
And it always seems the people on the side of America first seem to be getting screwed, basically. And anybody involved with the Democratic socialists are walking free. That's what's really got me disturbed. And I worry about this election. 118 days, folks. You got a chance to get rid of these people. I mean, we have to get rid of Biden and those people, or otherwise we're sunk quicker than the Titanic. But I worry about this because this COVID-19's thrown everything into the wind. I mean, they're talking about mail-in ballots. I mean, how corrupt can that be? I mean, did you think about that, John?
Well, yeah, there's actually in many of the states, including New York, of course, a big one. There are laws about these sort of mail-in ballots, and they're not following them. That's the point. They've created Cuomo in New York has simply ignored the law on mail-in ballots. That the state legislature is in control of that, and no, they're just going to ignore it. So there is the potential for a huge amount of fraud, and people will poo-poo it. They'll say, oh, but look, you can mail in ballots and you can vote. Look, it's better. People won't catch COVID-19, or it's good for democracy. Yes. People will participate. Well, let me tell you, in the state of Washington, we have a lot of people are unemployed, right? There's been 600 million in false unemployment claims that were filed, paid out, because it's all done online. And it was done by Nigerians using Social Security numbers that were hacked. And you can bet they've done it in the other 49 states. Billions of dollars have been siphoned off of unemployment.
That's a huge story. I haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, well,
so they hacked in.
In fact, they had to bring the National Guard in to try to go through some of the materials to try to claw back some of the hundreds of millions that disappeared out of the state treasury, and because it's done online with no oversight, and that's what's going to happen with the balloting. You go in and our balloting system is antiquated. That's for sure. You go in and some nice old retiree person, right, helps you and takes a look at your ID, and they cross your name off the list, check mark, sign here. You go to the old-fashioned voting machine, or digital voting machine, whatever you got there, and you vote. Well, there's a reason we do it that way, because if you vote on the internet, the government has no way of knowing what's going on. So there'll be massive voter fraud. You'll have Nigerians voting by the millions, Chinese voting, Russians voting. Everybody will be voting. And all of our, there's been a lot of large hacks of huge databases of everybody's Social Security and identifying information. Equifax was hacked. The state of South Carolina was hacked. Numerous other state franchise tax boards have been hacked. And they have everybody's information. So if you went to an internet voting or a mail-in voting, imagine the fraud that could go on.
Right. I mean, yeah, I'm just wondering, if you were a betting man, knowing what we know now about what's going on, who's going to be sitting in the White House next January?
It's very hard to say, but I'd put my money on President Trump. I mean, it's going to work to his advantage because of the Electoral College. Clearly, Biden will win the popular vote. And if you notice this year, there is no third-party candidate to siphon votes off from either candidate. So it's going to be very interesting.
Right. And also, I heard today that Biden's considering to stay in his basement and not debate Trump. That would be interesting, saying, I can't go out. I'm going to get a cold and get sick. So, I mean, he's got to debate the guy. I mean, but what they're thinking in their camp. They're thinking, man, he's going to fall. He doesn't even know he's running for president half the time or what state he's in. How's he going to handle Trump,
Right.
That would be fun to watch.
And he doesn't need to debate the president. It's not going to happen. The only real surprise here is who Biden will pick for, vice president. Will that be Susan Rice or Michelle Obama, 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
Right. And you said you don't think he will debate Trump?
I don't think that's going to happen. No, I would tend to think that if I was Biden, I'd just sit there and not do it.
Right. Yeah. He'd be better off because he's going to stick he's going to make some big errors.
He would just say that it's an from Biden's point of view, President Trump is illegitimate and a criminal. Why would he debate him?
Right. I gotcha. Let's get back just for 1 minute on COVID-19. And I've found this very distressing from my point of view. Over the months, I've had on a number of doctors who disagree with the World Health Organization, as well as Fauci and everybody. And basically, they make so much sense. And I can name 10 that I've talked with. And it seems to me what's brewing here is this battle over, are we really handling this correctly? What is the reason behind this lockdown? And if you take the facts of their scientific evidence, their doctors, you're going to say, they should win. Then if you go on the other side, you're seeing these arguments from these doctors that are diametrically opposed from Fauci. And what I'm seeing here is kind of like a picture of the battle of the legal experts, and nobody ever wins. Could go on for 10 years, and the only winner is going to be who can capture the media like they've done today. What are your thoughts on that? That's the way I view it, because it's distressing.
Yeah, it's absolute chaos no matter how you look at it, because you get, the public gets conflicting instructions every week or so. First the virus can't be aerosolized, and now it is, and now it isn't, and face masks don't work, and now they're mandatory, and they haven't. I'd like to see them go back and answer the basic question: is whether that virus is a bioweapon or not that got out of a Chinese laboratory. On purpose or accidentally. No one is even answering the basic questions, but which would tend to indicate we would have the economies being wrecked. So if we're dealing with a bioweapon, well, maybe that makes some sense. But if we're dealing with a variant of a coronavirus type flu, it doesn't make sense at all.
Exactly. And, many doctors are saying, hey, listen, even any person out there, and I've seen a lot of people do their own little research on this, but you can just check the way that these numbers are, flowing out there. First of all, a lot of them are fraudulent COVID-19. I said on my show one day, I said, we all do have death in common, but we've got another one now. We're all going to die of the COVID virus. We don't have to worry about what we're going to die over. But anyway, John, this is something that isn't going to end in my estimation. And what is going to end is this segment. But listen, I want to bring you back for the last 5 or 6 minutes segment because you got to straighten me out on cryptocurrency. I'm a lost soul, and you're handling some lawsuits now that are so interesting on the scam of cryptocurrency. So let's do that when you get back. My guest, Jon Levy, international attorney, got great cases. You got to look him up, and he'll tell you where you can find him right after this break on CRN3, The Greg Anthony Show.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
This is The Entertainment Answer. The hilarious comedy My Spy is available on Amazon Prime Video starting June 26th. It's about a hardened CIA operative named JJ who's been demoted and finds himself at the mercy of a precocious 9-year-old girl named Sophie.
Is it too late to homeschool me?
Lots of laughs and heart in this one, and it was fun watching actor Dave Bautista in this type of role.
There is one thing I'm good at.
My Spy is rated PG-13 for some spy-type action, but otherwise a pretty safe option. For this Entertainment Answer, I'm Matt Mungle.
Hey folks, Greg Anthony here, and during this COVID-19 pandemic, it's deja vu foreclosure time all over again. I'm talking behind in your mortgage 1, 2, 3 months and you are out, but there's a company out there that will go to bat for you. IWillSaveYourHome.com, and remember those words will do just that. Over the years, with the courage of David versus Goliath, the people at I Will Save Your Home have brought many of these money-hungry mortgage lenders to their knees. Remember the wave of foreclosures in the 2008 financial mess? Well, when the dust finally settles from this COVID-19 pandemic, it won't be a wave, but a tsunami of default foreclosures is on the Great Depression horizon. If your home is at risk of foreclosure, the problem must be tackled at once, and that's exactly what the people at IWillSaveYourHome.com will do, because one wrong move could spell disaster. They will specialize in working tirelessly to restructure and get you a fair and just loan modification. And during this COVID crisis, new laws are popping up every day, and they will untie all the legal ropes that just may save your home. A beautiful home, loving family has always been your American dream, so don't let foreclosure and these big banks turn your dream into a nightmare. Don't delay. Call today. Contact IWillSaveYourHome.com at 619-268-3687. That's 619-268-3687. They're a proud sponsor of the Greg Anthony Show. Okay, we are back. I got to get started here. We only got 5 minutes with Jon Levy, my guest. But one thing I want to mention, come and listen to the show, CRN3, every night, 8 to 9 p.m. You never know what you're going to get here. Sometimes I'll make you laugh your head off. Sometimes I'm going to make you cry. But I'll tell you, you're going to enjoy the show, and I'll come back tomorrow night. I got a guest tomorrow from India, Mumbai, India. We're going to talk about what the Indians are doing regarding COVID-19. So come back tomorrow. Jon, let's get to cryptocurrency and go slow, because I know you're representing some people that have been defrauded, but tell us all about it. Go ahead.
Right. Well, I've been working on cryptocurrency and crypto asset cases for about 3 years now. And, you know, that includes Bitcoin and Ethereum and Ripple and thousands of other, literally thousands of other crypto assets that are flying around out there in cyberspace. And it's amazing. So, for example, you know, one Bitcoin, as your listeners may know, is worth currently around $9,000. And what What is a Bitcoin? Yeah, what's a Bitcoin? You know, Greg?
Well, it's something. No, I couldn't. I tell you, I've tried to figure it out, but I can't. What is it?
Yeah, it's not money. It's like it's nothing. It's a piece of data that somebody created, and people have put a value on it, and other people speculate on it. You know, so there's now the amazing thing about these cryptocurrencies, of which there's maybe 10,000 out there, 10,000 different ones. They have no value. They have no intrinsic value. But people pay money for them, and they're trading. There's literally, by my estimation, on any given day, $50 billion to $100 billion in daily volume. That's completely unregulated, involving these things. So
now, what about the cases?
Day,
you're involved with some defrauding in the UK, or what's the story?
Well, the whole thing is fraud, in my opinion. But of course, where you have unregulated activity, the mafia comes right in there. The Israeli mafia, in particular, and other mafias come in there, set up fake trading platforms, just like they do with foreign exchange. They'll set up Ponzi schemes, initial coin offerings, all sorts of fake things, pyramid scams, fake coins, and they've had tremendous success. There was one called OneCoin that took in $4 to $5 billion until it was finally shut down last year. And I had some claimants on that, and it was being run from the European Union's own domain .eu.
So a lot of people lost money, right?
Well, it's $5 billion at least, and the money's just disappeared. No one knows where it went. That's just one of the many scams that we're going after. So you would think the government would be interested in this. Well, the U.S. government has gone after some of them, but the foreign governments like England completely turn a blind eye to it. A lot of activity in England, in London, and in their overseas territories, particularly Diego Garcia Island. The governments appear to be having a hand in the matter. And for what purpose, I don't know, but a lot of money disappearing.
You know, John, if anybody's got a cryptocurrency problem, you know the guy to call. Any way to get in touch with you? Email or anything?
So my email is info@jlevy, JLEVY.co, info@jlevy.co.
Okay, we got about 30 seconds. I'm going to hit you again with it. Trump or Biden?
Again, Trump will win in the Electoral College. Biden will have a blowout in the popular vote, but it won't do him any good.
All right. Let's hope that happens, John. Thanks a lot for being with us. And, of course, we'll have you on again. Have a good evening. And folks out there, you have a good evening. And we'll see you tomorrow night on The Greg Anthony Show, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on CRN3. Have a good evening. Good night.
Mr. Pop.